Are you walking too fast to hear your soul whispering? Welcome to the Leader's Camino, a space where we slow down to explore real conversations with entrepreneurs, leaders, and visionaries at the turning points of their professional journey. I am Martin Frederick Garbers, business coach, former CFO, and pilgrim on the Camino de Santiago. A trusted guide for those ready to exit what no longer serves them and create their next spiral of growth from the inside out. These episodes are interviews from my book, The Leader's Camino, From Exit to Expansion, clients and coaches who share their transformational experience coaching with me. Soul meets strategy. Bart's journey from exit to essence. I had to wear the jacket before I believed I had earned it, so Bart. Bart Van Grinsven sold his business, moved to Spain, and walked straight into the unknown. What he found there wasn't just the Mediterranean sun, but a deeper truth. That his next chapter wasn't about success as others defined it, but about becoming who he had always been. A guide, a life shaper, a dreamcatcher. In this conversation about our apprentice coaching journey, Bart shares how stepping into visibility was the real growth curve, how a 5-figure coaching offer transformed his mindset, and while sailing, coaching, and soulful connection are no longer separate ideas, but one fluid path. You'll hear why embracing your next identity requires courage before credentials, how spirituality, nature, and business can harmonize, and how play, presence, and intuition can become your most powerful tools. A deep, reflective episode for anyone who has stepped out of the old world and is now really truly arriving in their own and considering becoming a powerful coach. This might be the episode for you to listen to. When we go back, when we started together, and maybe that's not the right point, but the idea is, when you think about the time we worked before and what made you be open or considering to pick someone for like a guide for this journey, where were you before we started working together?
Well, I made my transition by selling my business, moving to Spain. I did that prior to that, I think 2-3 years before that. Yeah, which was, well, the most radical decision I made in my life. That's the moment that we really stepped into something that felt like our own journey, literally taking life in our own hands. I reinvented myself. I was going to say I reinvented myself as a coach, but that's not true. I discovered that I'm a coach. That's my second nature. And you can label that be a coach. I acquired the skill set in order to be professional in it. So I got through professional coach training, but it's something that I've been naturally doing for all my life. And the point where we met was the point where I thought, like, okay, there's a long way, and you always make mistakes. You have to find your own path, but it's also I wanted to work with somebody who was more ahead of me and who's walked more or less the same path. And it's always your unique path, and it's very important. But to see, okay, to accelerate my growth, basically, to overcome these things that would keep you small. That was the main idea.
So, and I think here there's two things though. And the one thing was, hey, you had exited from your former business. So that was already cooling off. It wasn't really in the presence. And you had already made the decision, hey, this is the path I want to take forward. I want to become a coach. Or this is...
Well, it wasn't even the cooling off. The previous life was like ice cold, gone, completely.
Yeah, it's gone. So this wasn't in your, you were not attached to it anymore. So you said that you had your rest period, your transition period, and now it's like, I want to embrace something new. And you had chosen the path of coaching in the business field for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So what was a typical, like, how did success look like in that early stage when we met of your business in the coaching space?
Presenting yourself as a coach, being paid to be a coach, doing a few group sessions also, but not really stepping up my game in the sense that I'm doing big offers and stuff like that. No, it was still like, okay, do you have enough experience? Do you have enough skill set to coach like really big entrepreneur or a big CDO or all of that? Do you have that? You get in the way of yourself. So you have to get out of the way of yourself. That's the whole thing. So I was too much in the way of myself. I think that inhibits. I think in coaching, it's very important. I think in any profession, it's important, but I think in coaching particularly, you are a vehicle through which something can emerge for the other client. So when your ego is too much attached to the profession or the label that you give yourself as a coach, and you start to compare yourself, think, what does that mean? You cannot fully serve your clients. And I think I was definitely at that phase at that time.
Yeah, I think that's when we met, correct? We met at that, it was never done before.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what was the thing that connected the two of us? What do you remember in that situation?
Well, we were in a session which was about money mindset. I vividly remember that. And then Miriam said, like, hey, you need to talk to Martin. So somehow we connected and we set up a call. I think we had one or two conversations, but the thing that I really remember is that you did this, we call it envisioning. It was hypnotizing, envisioning, like stepping into it. And that's the moment I really viscerally felt all over my body, like, this is who I am. This is where I need to be. It felt just normal. And it still is.
I mean, now you remember, I get the wave of energy again here. Yes, exactly. Yes.
But it still is, Martin, because I mean, if I'm honest, my business isn't running as I want it to run. It's not like smooth and stuff yet. But I do not think like, okay, I need to find something else. No, the answer to this thing is I need to step up my game. I need to step out. So it's another acceleration that I need to do, be more visible. It's not like I need to do something else. No. So that was definitely a moment like that. Now I'm at a point where there's another moment like that. And it's like, okay, you're building and building, and you're building. And I was okay, show yourself. Yesterday I was thinking about it's like, how long have I been doing this? It's like 3 years. I could have done things faster. No. Yes. Yeah, probably yes. Intellectually, yes. Emotionally, I'm not sure. I can't answer that. Acceleration comes with these moments that you think, now I need to accelerate. The moment I started with you was a deliberate choice. There was a question in my mind, how can I accelerate? What would it look like? And there was this deliberate choice that I felt like, let's do that together. And that's when we started.
If you recall the beginning when we started, I mean, that was, I remember this kind of embracing into this, well, was it uncomfortable? I don't even know. What was the piece of transformation that you were stepping or allowing yourself into?
Yeah, really just taking on that jacket of, you are a coach of this level. This is your ambition. This is where you want to go. You just embrace that, be that with the risk to fail, with the risk to not knowing. And you can only truly do that if you have somebody who keeps you accountable. Otherwise you just keep yourself like a bit small. I think as humans, we tend to play it safe. You have these people who call themselves, or, well, they don't call themselves like this. Society labels them as self-made man or women, which I find a really ridiculous expression. that doesn't exist. I think they surround themselves with people who hold them accountable and who challenge them. And they might be the face of whatever they do, but I think it's super important to have that. And you can accelerate it by being intentional about it. So it could be that you surround yourself with people without, sometimes maybe you don't even have a super clear goal or yes, but if it's about you as a person, like, okay, deciding to work with a coach is being very intentional about, I want an acceleration in the parts of my life for which I engage my coach, and inevitably other stuff gets thrown into the bucket, or revealed, let's say. It's not thrown into the bucket, it's more revealed, peeled off. That's why every coach needs a coach.
Yes, I fully agree. So if you recall back, you're like the early stage of when we started coaching together, what was the biggest change or shift or things that we were exploring both together? Well, what can you recall?
Well, one thing I vividly remember is, and it wasn't even during a coaching session, it was outside of a coaching session, a 15-minute call we had before I did a 50,000 euro offer, or 20,000 euro offer, I don't remember. I think it was a 50,000 euro offer. Yeah.
The long path.
And it wasn't met with any crazy reaction. And that was really like, I remember my heart pounding when I was doing that. And I spoke it out, and it was like, oh, and that thing really shifted something. Like, okay, that's interesting, because that was literally a 10x in my mind of, okay, what is possible? It puts a mark here where previously it was there, and it doesn't mean that I'm getting there all the time, but the mark is there, and mentally I've been there now, so it's easier to go there, to be there.
And what were the other things that you kind of abracadabra, the long pass ideas that you spoke out?
Ooh, I don't really remember anymore.
I remember one.
I think digging in personal stuff, like turning up stones. Tell me.
So I think we went deep, but I don't, as this is a book, I don't want to necessarily go there unless you want to discover something. But I thought one thing I found interesting that you said, you know what, I would like to do this sailboat coaching journey.
Mm-hmm.
You were, hey, how about, wouldn't it be cool to have a sailboat and coach on the sailboat? And I recall that this first session, the first launch, what happened with the first launch?
Well, there was no first launch.
There was no first launch, exactly. But a year later, what happened last year?
Yeah, I went sailing on a boat. Yes. Yeah.
And how many people did you coach on the boat?
Well, I had I've got some client. Well, I got one client from that, but it made me visible.
Yeah,
that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a reflection from there, sometimes the first idea is you don't know whether it's going to land that moment. It might take another year or two to really flourish. Yeah. But I remember still vividly when you had this, wouldn't it be cool being on a sailboat, having this, and you could really visualize, all right, okay, to me, you visualized how it would look like going on a sailboat with your clients and good chef and having great time and food and whatever. And when you shared it, it's almost happened a year later, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't exactly that thing, but yeah, I naturally have these kind of conversations, but it will happen in that exact format at some point, for sure. It will happen naturally at some point. Yeah.
I think this is what I would call abracadabra. You're playing with an idea, you're seeing yourself doing it, and maybe it's not immediately, but the seed is there. So the power that this can happen at some point definitely goes up when we speak, when we create about it. What else do you remember? What things that you threw into this creation space that?
Yeah, it's mostly a deep conversation, but I don't recall any details. It just shapes you along the way. And probably the different Camino coachings, but I was more outside of what we did, but it was connected to it. There's no particular shift that that I remember, it's a gradual thing. You don't see it. It's just an ongoing thing, which is part of a journey where later on you look back, yeah, not even. It's a foundation, something that you create, I think.
Yeah. And I would probably refer to this as we've been working regularly, always stepping into this energy, coming from this energy of serving, this expansive energy. And I remember the one Camino when you were here in Austria, and we created this
Yeah.
one Camino at Starnberg, at the top of the after lunch at the top of the mountain ridge there, and speaking to
Yeah,
the
true.
Alps, and it was I wasn't there, or was already there, but we were playing with the idea also to spend some time together in Tallinn and do a Camino coaching in Tallinn. And we also planted the idea of doing Camino coaching in Valencia, running a half marathon. I'm not exactly sure when we seeded the half marathon, when we registered for it, but it was pretty early on in our coaching journey.
Yeah, there was in that time around it was in April, I think. Yeah, April, May.
Because I think it was already sold out. The normal tickets were sold out.
Yeah.
So we decided to sign up for the VIP ticket.
Hmm.
And so that was for me also one of these, let's say, hey, I'm saying so because I said so, I'm doing it. And was this, I've never run a half marathon before. And then, okay, let's do this together and make each other step into the power of showing up for this half marathon at Valencia end of October, and preparing for it, and having had our experience together for 1 week in Tallinn and Mind Valley University. Yeah.
Yeah. We did Mind Valley the year after, no? Yes. Or not? That was 2000. Ah, yeah, 2023. That's true. No, it was the same summer.
Same summer,
Yeah.
yeah. We create, hey,
Yeah.
this is let's take Mind Valley. It's a break in our,
Yeah.
say, do this together, and
Yeah.
then we continue our coaching afterwards, which also for me was an interesting experience. Hey, you can also, in a coaching journey, you can also show up into something which is more like peers together, having fun together, and still
Yeah.
maintaining that leadership element of a coaching agreement.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed how you created the Camino Coaching Valencia, where you invited your from your network. Was it 4 people or was it 4 or 5 people?
Yeah, six. I think six people showed up then. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Chris also showed up. Yeah, so we had this
Yeah.
whole experience together, and then the barbecue session in your house and your backyard afterwards. So it was this co-creation of fun and interesting and beautiful events,
Yeah.
which made for me it's a positive example of, hey, how things can be if it's there with joy and fun and enthusiasm and playfulness, and really stepping into a higher energy. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's how things need to be created. Then it goes natural and just smooth. Yeah. Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you want to reflect on in our coaching journey, which is
Well, I think another thing that I learned along the way as um, you opened up a connection with spirituality that I before probably had, but did not see as such. And that's as maybe less to do with your coaching, but more with the way you are. And it's something I came to realize only afterwards that and it's a very natural thing for you. And I've noticed that there's a big need for people to be able to have those kind of conversations in and it doesn't matter of how you see them or how you label things, but so to have the space to have this kind of conversations of you as a person in relation to a bigger thing, and it just entered very naturally into the conversation, but it is very linked to who you are as a person. Your whole life is actually infused with that. And um, you don't speak about it a lot. I know because you touched upon it, but it is such a deep and essential part of who you are, and you don't market yourself as such. But I do think that probably that is your biggest strength. How you use your incredible sensitivity that you have as a person, because you are, I see, and I still see that you are walking around very, very receptive and very open and daring to be vulnerable and generous at the same time. You have an incredible generosity over you, and which is even now. So I look at it and I think, wow, that's very inspiring. And if I look back, that is what I think that is what I've taken away and still take away, is like, okay, there's a part of me that I haven't explored, but it was there. It's there. It's always been there, but that I've found back somehow, and I'm continuing to explore that. But it also helps me to put myself in relationship to the rest, which gives me and I knew this, but it gives me big inner peace to know that you're not alone in thinking that, and that it's a very normal human need and very compatible with having a sound ambition to live life to the fullest, to live an authentic and life using your gifts. It's all connected. You see, that I think that thing is, and that has emerged from being with you mostly, because you don't mention it in your coaching sessions, but it's there. It's always maybe a phrase, a sentence, or whatever, but you can't take it away.
Thank you. I'm moved. Thank you. Thank you for expressing that.
Yeah. When I'm saying this, I'm thinking like it probably would serve you to put that more at the forefront in a gentle manner.
Yeah. I'm playing and exploring how I can lead with that part of my spiritual being more and more intense, and it's stepping in there. I mean, today I did an energetic activation session with Galina, which is a lot of really working with energy and higher self energy flowing through. So, which I have no words for. I can only experience it from embodiment.
Well, Martin, I spoke to a guy the other day, and he's been measuring energy. He's got a device for that. He helps companies literally lift up their energy, and so there is a big need for that. And it's something, you can call it energy, you can call it vibration. It's like when you're with somebody who makes you feel good, and he works together with somebody else who I also know well. She's also very high vibration, if you want to call it like that. They're amazing, and they're very they're literally people that make you feel good when you're around them. And so we think that there's a big misconception that if you are running a business, and definitely the part where you come from, where it's all about numbers, and that excludes your right brain, your creative brain. Numbers are very creative. It just depends on what you do with it. Like the mathematical way of thinking with your Fibonacci and all that is exactly that. And so if you would take the timeline of your life and you would write down the pivotal points of all the thing that you told me, like, I feel water, I can feel that. So that means you're hyper sensitive to certain things. And also the religious part of your life, which is plays such a big role that you have molded into something that is completely yours and real. And so you turn back to what the institute of maybe church is, but you've taken what is valuable for you and you've integrated completely with your values, and you live by them. And other things like the man's group, where you've been in for years that helped you on your journey, all these paths that you've done, and you don't talk about them. You hardly ever talk about them. And I think all of those things, they make you stand out, and they actually make you different. And now I come to think of, I can give you some unsolicited advice, maybe.
Yeah, please. I solicited here, permission given.
But you go from the angle of I'm a former CFO. I don't think that matters that much. I think that's what I would say. Try to create a narrative that puts it upside down. I am somebody who is, and I wouldn't use the word hypersensitive because people don't understand what it means, but find the narrative and tell those stories of how you could do this and that. And, you know, they are difficult things to tell because people have very strong opinions on all of those things. And so I think if you would share those stories and people start to link them together, your 30, 40-year journey to become the person that you're now, and with the pivotal points, if you would write like a series of 15 LinkedIn posts, or even in your book, those things with your background and whatever, I think you would start to attract a completely different level of clients, because there's nobody I know of who does that. And you would really start to embrace your authentic self, but it would feel like you're naked, and that's why it's scary. But that's also when people start to see and feel you.
Yeah, I can sense my solar plexus being all excited now here.
But that is actually, if I wrap up what we've done together, and that is, and I mean, I continue to observe you. I'm always in observer mode when I'm next to you. So you do things. I don't take the lead very often, because you're doing that, and I don't think you need to do that with two. And that's what I'm observing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it brings me back to my end of the journey of Camino. When I was at Finisterre, I had this choice. Do I go back into corporate, or do I embrace the journey of becoming a coach? And the corporate path would have been probably the secure path, which predictable outcome. And the other one is to be created is the definitely more courageous one. And still, even today, 8 years into it, it's still a creation in the journey, and I love it. For me, I feel so alive.
Yeah.
And even if there's days where, interesting, cash flow could be better or whatever, so there are some struggles on the financial side of it, but I feel the aliveness on embracing this. As I wouldn't want to change for a minute back into my old path or whatever role, and this is where I feel much more alive this way.
I have the same thing. I'm not creating clients, or very little, and the only reason for that is because I don't step into the place where I need to be. For me, that is literally being outside and talking about it and showing myself to the world, and not thinking that all the things I have in my mind, they're not good enough. So it's a decision that only landed a week and a half ago. It's very weird. I don't know why it didn't land before. Probably the time wasn't right. I have no idea, but I feel this extremely deep urge now. I tend to observe for a very long time. That's the modus in which I operate all the time. The day I quit smoking, it looked like I just quit smoking, but I'd been observing non-smokers for half a year without talking about it. And then all of a sudden I do cluck, and I just don't smoke anymore. And I do that with all the things that I do. I've come to realize. And so also for me, stepping up my game now, saying, okay, this is what I want to do. I think cutting the past weeks in my agenda, like speaking out, I don't have time for this anymore. I have to delegate that, and it's still not it's not perfect, but to create space and energy to do what everybody already has been saying me for 2 3 years, like, but that's what you have to do. And I knew it, but I didn't.
So, invitation to you, Bart. Yeah, that's used as literally a book. I want to give you the frame where you can put yourself in the frame. So what would you like to express for that frame?
Well, for my frame, what I do is literally take these entrepreneurs who feel stuck outside to feel the deep connection with themselves. I can do that. I'm just being with them, literally with them. I sense it and help them quiet down, and that's it. And from that part, new things can emerge, and I can guide them. That's what I do actually. I guide them through towards this next chapter, which is more authentic, more in line with who they truly are. That's what I constantly do. So, but I haven't spoken that out. You don't see that from me online. I haven't recorded videos on that, and that's the stuff that I'm going to do. So it's more like, okay, throw myself in now. I feel I'm ready. I'm going to do it. I've been observing a lot. If it
Catching the
also,
dream and then shaping the life. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm. But Martin, in all honesty, whilst we're having this conversation, I also would like to invite you to really explore that part what I just mentioned, because it's probably the scary part, because it's the part where they put you at the stake, where they burn you, literally. That's what you do. You have to step up with the risk that they just pull you apart and they burn you. But that's also the place where you get the loyal following, and
The
those people
most
need that.
transformative energy as well, correct?
Yeah.
Do you want to know an curiosity of the book? I got this card. It's an intuition card. I read it to you in German, so you don't have to worry about it. I got this from Mareike. She also doing a Camino coaching in December, and she gave me as a Christmas present. She creates these intuition cards, and that was her book,
Cool.
her Christmas presents to me. And she drew one card for me, and the card that she drew is the book. You are the author of your life. How do you want your life to look like? That's the card that she gave me. And then I said, interesting. Isn't it interesting that within 3 months, I'm in a process of creating a book and releasing a book, and the intention to release the book at my 8th anniversary of my Camino. So when I found this card again sitting on my desk at home, I said, isn't that fascinating?
Mm.
She had basically, because there's not she wasn't the first one, but there were several people that spoke to me, hey, how about you write a book? And I was always kind of pushing it away.
Yeah.
And now finding this card back, oh, actually, she gave it to me for Christmas. So now 3 months later, I'm at the point of where I cannot back off any longer.
Yeah.
I've spoken out. We have this interview. I have another interview, and so a few of them. So the whole thing is unwrapping. Yeah. So this book is going to come out at some point. Yeah. So my intention is to have it out by latest May the 4th, so that I can celebrate it myself for the anniversary of the Camino.
That's cool. Yeah. I have the same thing. I've got all the dominoes here. I've got 4 dominoes, huh?
Oh yeah.
And I wonder, and I've been they're standing here. I'll just take them and you see them. And I was thinking, like, so what I'm doing is, I was thinking, what do they mean to me? And so I was thinking, this is me doing one-on-one coaching. This is me charging up myself. I need to go on my hikes by myself. This is something I'm organizing together with another coach. It's called Spark Hikes. We're going to launch that today. This thing is group coaching. And so it just makes all of it. I looked at it as like, but that's exactly how I'm designing my life now. This is what needed to happen. So that's the stuff.
This is cool.
Yeah.
I need to pick my different dominoes up and see what the story of that was. But I have a few here. I have this one. This is the one and
Right, that's a special one. No?
yeah, I find as well. Yeah. For me, it's this like the yin and yang. Huh? You have the white one with one block and the black one with one. So it's the yin and yang balancing act. And or it's for me in the coaching, it's about creating the frame and putting the person in the center. As holding a safe container and then having the focus on the one. And these are the ones that I'm currently. This is the one I drew in Domino for Dubai when we did the Dubai Camino and Arena, and this is the 1111. So it's 1111 for me. Yeah, so and for me 1111 is a message from spirit. So really embracing spirituality in the way I work, as you mentioned earlier, and I think
that's a good one that you say that now. Then
yeah, so it's 1111. Embracing spirituality is something which I do more and more of. Yeah, and yeah, I can probably even become more visible on it because I'm still. Yeah, I recently did a LinkedIn live, and I was sharing about the two spirits, the like the two shadows, which I consider my reminder for my spirit guides that I use, and so I step more and more into using them in a more open form. Yeah. So what you mentioned is taking already, I can see the first, visibilities in the outside and stepping into it even more.
I really think, Martin, literally, if you throw off that thing that keeps you from totally stepping into that, I think your business will flourish like massively. I think that's probably what needs to happen.
Yeah. And I'm very sure you will be part of the whole creation process in one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I wonder why. What is the acceleration of what we've done together? The funny thing is, like, I can't take our collaboration out of my life because I wouldn't be at the point where I am right now. Do I find the investment that I've made reflected in the results that I have today? No. But I can't take it away. If I would say to myself, like, I take it away, then all many other things would not be present. So it is an ongoing story. And it's very interesting to look at life like that. And it's always been like intuitively. I said yes to working with you. It was a very intuitive thing. If I would have done it rationally, I would have probably done it differently. Would the result be better? I don't think so. I don't know. It's just a path that you're on that just does so much poking in your mind. And I think it will always, life is that. It always continues like that. The only thing is, the older we get, and if we do enough work, is we know how to deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
I have, for example, like the energy thing or how you feel. You can wake up in the morning and feel like super invigorated and energized. And the world looks at us in a certain way. And then the next day, the world doesn't change, but you feel down. So that's you. So what I do now when I have these moments, I look at myself from the outside, knowing that I can feel completely different and say, what makes the difference here? And I use it to train my mind.
I think let's keep the container and coming to a close here. And I want to give you an opportunity to really check into your energy. And so if you would like to be a waymarker, yeah, say maybe they call it referral testimonial. So if there's one person you would like to invite to have a conversation with me, how would you announce that?
I would, well, given what we've been discussing right now, I would announce it as, if you would like to link the spiritual part of your personality, of your being, with the more business-like part, and you want to go deep, then you might be a good candidate to speak to.
Thank you.
I really appreciate.
What if your greatest expansion isn't found in business growth, though in who you are becoming? Thank you for joining this journey. If today's conversation sparked something in you, I invite you to slow down, reflect, and maybe even walk a little in self-reflection. To go deeper into these themes, I invite you to explore my book about walking the Camino de Santiago and how this has impacted my professional life and the way I serve my clients. The book is called The Leader's Camino: From Exit to Expansion, a pilgrimage through your own business, reinventing yourself to thrive. You find it on Amazon. Please subscribe to this podcast and feel free to share these episodes with someone ready to shift. And remember, transformation starts with the first step. Buen Camino.